Raider Nation, we got some good news to get your week started. Josh Jacobs will reportedly end his holdout and report to the team before week 1. What I want to know right now is give me your one-word reaction to the news around Jacobs potentially returning. Coming up here on the Raiders Report, I am going to give you every single thing that you need to know about Josh Jacobs returning to the Silver and Black. Raider Nation, what's going on? You're watching the Raiders Report. It's Mitchell Renz here from Chat Sports, and today's show is sponsored by Kanzuri. I ran into the office today as soon as I got the news with my Kanzuri shoes on, so if I look a little bit sweaty, hey, at least I'm 2.8 inches taller, and you can be as well. Go to Kanzuri.com/chat. That link's going to be available for you guys down in the comments and in the description of today's show. So the big story that's breaking this morning, and Dov was one of the first ones to kind of get the ball rolling here, and he says, report, Raiders running back Josh Jacobs will end his holdout and report to the team before week 1 against the Broncos via the Las Vegas Review-Journal. Let me just say this right now. It is still technically not set in stone that this is like officially official news, because here is the tweet from Vincent Bonsignore that broke late last night. There's a growing sense in league circles that Josh Jacobs will be back with the Raiders before the season opener. But when exact, and when will we have enough time to be ready to play against the Broncos, the latest? Essentially, what Vinny is sitting here saying, and I have the exact quote in the article, it says, Josh Jacobs is expected to report to the Raiders before their season opener in 3 weeks. Multiple league sources have indicated. Josh McDaniels did not have an update on the situation, but he did say Sunday that he believes Jacobs could stand to get some practice time in underneath his belt. So as it stands right now, nothing really new in terms of everything that has been expected. We've been saying on this show for a long time, Josh Jacobs will be back by week 1. Is it officially official? No. But I am a big believer where there is smoke, there is fire, and as you all know, and I do think that this is trending in the right direction to have number 8 back on our sideline. So what I want you to do right now is speak your mind by dropping a like down on this video. The Raiders have played solid in the preseason, offensively, defensively. Zamir White has done a decent job, but let's be real with ourselves here. I know that there's a lot of Raider fans out there that don't think that this team can be good. I think that this team is going to be a lot better than what people anticipate. But if you want to go from being decent to above average, and the ultimate goal every year is to get a Super Bowl, which sounds outlandish to a lot of people. But I bet you it also sounded outlandish when the Giants beat the New England Patriots. I bet you also it sounded outlandish when somebody thought that the Seattle Seahawks last season were going to be the worst team in the NFL and they made the playoffs. It's the NFL. Crazy shit can happen. And if you are excited to have Jacobs back, smash that like button right now. Over the past 4 seasons, last season was the big-time year, and the reason why he wanted to get his payday. He has not signed the franchise tag yet, and if he wants to end up coming back to the Raiders, he's going to have to do one of 2 things. Sign the franchise tag or sign a brand new 1-year deal, because the deadline to sign that contract extension of multiple seasons, that is already passed. That deadline was on July 17th, 4 p.m. Eastern time. So if Jacobs wants to show up, he's got to do 2 things. Either option A, you sign the franchise tag. Option B, you sign a new 1-year deal very similar to what the Giants gave Saquon Barkley. And I can talk about that coming up here in just a little bit. So more discussions here around the news that broke this morning, at least the new rumors, if you will, around Jacobs potentially showing up. But I said at the top of the show, and I'm going to say it again, huge shout out to today's sponsor, Kanzuri. And I'm telling you right now, if you're trying to elevate your game, not only your height, but your shoe game, listen up. Because the Raiders Report is sponsored by Kanzuri. Fellas, have you ever wished that you were a little bit taller? Well, if I just described you, I got you covered with today's sponsor, Kanzuri. Kanzuri makes shoes that make you up to 2.8 inches taller without anyone knowing. Look, girls get heels. Why can't men get a boost in confidence too? Kanzuri shoes are not only height boosting, but also stylish and comfortable. They're not grandpa's Velcro shoes, but fashionable shoes that can receive compliments even without the height increase. The height insoles are integrated into the shoes, making it the ultimate height hack. For a limited time only, our listeners get an extra 15% off your order at Kanzuri.com/chat. The site is already 30% off, and with our link, you get an extra 15%. That's 45% off your entire order. Support our show and check them out at Konzuri.com/chat. Life's short, but hey, you don't got to be. It's time to level up the playing field. Missouri is an absolute game changer when it comes to your dating life. Now, let's look at the Raiders' running back depth chart here because as it's indicated on screen, Jacobs has still yet to sign his franchise tag at the moment that I am recording this video. Zamir White has been the main running back in the preseason for the Silver and Black. He has totaled 23 total carries for 83 yards. So you can do the math there. He hasn't been super explosive. He has been a north and south runner, more of a bowling ball. The Raiders, though, will continually use Zamir White this upcoming season. Even if Josh Jacobs, I'm telling y'all right now, even if Jacobs is on this team this upcoming season, he had 393 touches last season. He's not going to have over 393 touches this season for two reasons. One, the Raiders want Zamir to get more work. And number two, with everything that has happened this offseason, the way that McDaniels, the way that Ziegler operate this entire system, they are going to give more work to Zamir. They are going to give more work to Brandon Bolden early on, a lot more than what they would have given if Jacobs would have showed up from day one. Hell, they're even going to give some work to Amir Abdullah, which I don't totally disagree with. Jacobs is clearly the best running back, and he's been one of the best running backs in the league. The back that I will continually point at from a comparison standpoint, if you want to look at the type of contract that I believe that he's going to end up getting, because I don't see him signing the franchise tag. I see him getting that extra 1 year type of deal, very similar to what Saquon Barkley got, because, yes, Jacobs is the better between the tackles runner. Barkley's a better catcher. But in terms of overall athletes, both of these young men here were offered the franchise tag. And both of them said, no, I'm not going to sign the tag. The Giants, Barkley, they got a deal done about a month ago. Now it's time for Jacobs and his team to step up to the plate and say, you know what? When you look at both of our numbers here from an entire 4-year standpoint, both of these players have played in the exact same amount of games. Barkley's been in the league 1 year longer. However, he had one season, and with the injuries that he has sustained, both the exact same games played. Jacobs, more touchdowns, more first downs overall. Sure, Barkley has more yards, more averages, but Jacobs does have more touches. If I am Jacobs' agent, I have to look myself in the mirror and say, I have dropped the ball dramatically on the contract negotiations. Jacobs has been given 3 deals so far, and he's been given at least an offer of a 1 year, $12 million deal. If I'm Jacobs' agent, I look at the Saquon Barkley deal and I say, I want some incentives. However, if I'm the Raiders, I also know that Jacobs isn't going to get the football, I think, as much as what people want him to get the ball the first week, 2, 3 weeks. If he goes out there and he looks great, I hope it's the hot hand approach. And you keep feeding him, you keep feeding him, and keep feeding him. But I'm just telling you this right now. I don't think that that's going to be the case right off the jump. Now, this is the exact reason here why you should subscribe to the Raiders Report. It's bright and early on Monday. Jeremy Chugs and I were getting you a video. Our chat sports team helped get this thing together as quick as we possibly could. I wanted to get more information on the entire Jacob situation because if you're on social media right now, you think that it's a done deal. And I'm telling you right now, it's not a done deal. It's trending in that direction. It's always been trending in that direction. But if you are on social media, I'm telling you, Jacobs is going to be at practice until he either signs that franchise tag or signs a brand new 1 year deal. So just keep that in mind. But this is why you should subscribe. Now, in terms of the other highest paid running backs in the National Football League per year, this isn't 100% of an accurate graphic. However, with Barkley, Pollard, and Jacobs is what they would have made at $10.1 million. But remember, Barkley got that $2 extra million in incentives. So now he's making about $12 million per year. So if I'm Jacobs' agent, I'm looking at the Derrick Henry, the Nick Chubb type of money because that's where Barkley is sitting right now. The guarantees, the graphic that you're seeing on screen here is kind of right before the July 17th deadline around all the running backs. So the news was, though, that Jacobs was expected to show up week 1 against the Denver Broncos. I said about 2 weeks ago that I was told by a source that the date to keep in mind is July 28th for Jacobs. And it was, or July 20th, August 28th for Jacobs. And it's 2 reasons here. The first reason was cut down dates. You got to go from 90 all the way down to 53 on August 29th at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. Jacobs wants to tell the Raiders that, hey, I'm going to be a part of this team, but also McDaniels and Ziegler, they want to know that, hey, this guy's going to be a part of the team because the last thing that they want to do is take a job away, an opportunity from somebody who's been working their tail off at OTAs, at mini camps, at training camp during the preseason just because Jacobs and his agent can't figure out what they're trying to do. The other reason, and the date, again, I was told August 28th, I don't know if Jacobs is about to drop a new line, but I was told that because of August 28th, he's got his new number 8. He used to wear number 28, and that was a date to keep in mind. Some of y'all might roll your eyes at that, but hey, if it's the Raiders, anything, man, is freaking possible. So here's the final question here. I believe that's going to be on today's show. Will Jacobs re-sign next off season? Because we're not only looking at the 2023 season. For me personally, this will be the final year that Josh Jacobs is a running back on the Raiders. And the reason why I say that is because he's going to want a multi-year deal next offseason. Sure, the Raiders could place the franchise tag on him again, but from what it sounds like from Jacobs and people close to him, he wants guarantees. He wants the multi-year deal. And I'm sorry, even if he has another spectacular season, it's not what the Raiders do. It's not what McDaniels do. It's not what Ziegler do. I'll say that there might be a 1% chance that he comes back, and that chance is if Jacobs goes absolutely bananas and the Raiders win a Super Bowl. If that happens, then maybe he'll come back. So Jeremy just said one just win, baby. I'm going to say a freckle of a just one, baby, in terms of Josh Jacobs returning next offseason.